So I'd like to say a few words about the Sherpa people first and foremost. Sort of the best ones, the ones that get employed to be helpers, are just unbelievable. Like the best mountaineers in the world sort of can't believe what they do.
Okay.
The amounts they carry.
Right.
Like the best mountaineers in the world from America or Switzerland or France or wherever are like struggling up, and there's a Sherpa with 80 pounds on his back, sort of walking up it.
But this is what happens when you're raised in a particular environment, right? You know, it's become that thing.
So the Sherpa people inhabit the land on both the Nepalese side and the Tibetan side. The story goes that originally they were sort of Tibetan people, and in a long, long ago, in sort of prehistory times, they migrated round and started living on the what is now the Nepalese side. Right. So they're the same sorts of people, same ethnicities. There's 4 different tribes. It's not the right word, but basically
cultures.
And it gets a bit more complicated than that because Nepal is, as you can imagine, I'll put maps up so people can see, closely associated with India. And the Tibetans are fairly obviously, closely associated with China. I think ethnically they're sort of a bit more Mongol than anything else.
Okay.
Anyway, their ability for their blood to hold oxygen, and that's what it's all about, if your platelets in your blood can hold oxygen well or not. Yeah. And just being endlessly acclimatized from birth to being born at 6,000 meters, and living maybe not quite that much, 3,000 meters.
Sure, but we're about 30 meters, so.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty much at sea level.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. We're in the southwest of England.
More or less sea level, yeah. So, for example, most people, Western people, or most people in the world don't have to be Western. When you're in what they call the death zone, which is over 8,000 meters, you're just dying the whole time. You're basically dying of hypoxia, especially if you don't have oxygen. You're not meant to live up there.
Well, yeah.
Because there's so little oxygen in the air. Yeah. Normal amount of oxygen in there is about 21%. And up there it sort of can be 8% or lower.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how hard you breathe or how much you breathe, you're not getting enough oxygen.
Yeah.
And so your brain and your gut and all sorts of things start to shut down. Might be slowly, might not be slowly. Whereas they can do it. Babu Chiri Sherpa, one of my heroes, spent 21 hours on the summit of Everest. Most people, you're up there, you have a quick 5 minutes to take a picture, and you head back down as quickly as you can. He spent 21 hours up there. That's
mad.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's absolutely unbelievable. I'm not sure.
Right, 21 hours.
I think he must have done that time.
Yeah.
But fair few Sherpas do it without oxygen.
Right.
And then you get you get the odd superhuman. I mean that in sort of a literal sense, where they're sort of a genetic freak.
Yeah.
Some people can do it.
Right. Okay.
Can climb it without oxygen, but it's extremely rare. Extremely rare.
If you're wondering, you're probably not that person.
Yeah, probably not. Babu Chiri Sherpa in the 90s climbed Everest from base camp to summit in just under 17 hours.
And how far is that?
Well, it usually takes a whole season to do it, to acclimatise. And it certainly takes days and days and days for a normal person to do it. So to sort of jog up Everest, Alpine style, in one go, unbelievable. I think that record has been broken now by another Sherpa.
Right. Okay.
But so it just goes to show that the Sherpa people, you can't give them enough credit, really.
Well, I mean, they're designed by nature to do it, right?
And they're Buddhist, their religion is Buddhism. And there's different strains of Buddhism, but their particular strain, and runs through a lot of Buddhism, is sort of selflessness. And so they see it as almost like a religious responsibility to help people up and down.
That's right.
It's not just for money. It's not just to be nice. It's sort of their duty in a way. And they realise it's other people's dream. It's their dream to try and climb Everest. And they're obliged to help them.
That's nice.
It's really, really nice. Their attitude is just unbelievably good.
That's cool.
Yeah. I wanted to say that. I've got endless respect for the Sherpa people. Okay, so the Britons and Kiwis, and I'll get to it why that is, but particularly Britons have got a sort of a special relationship with Everest.
Yeah, I bet we do. A stupid relationship. Oh, look, there's something stupid. Let's go and climb it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's Antarctica. Let's go and travel it. Yeah, we do stupid things.
Because the reason it's called Everest is because in the 1850s, where the Raj, where the British Empire controlled India, we went and surveyed most of the world back in the Victorian period.
Just for the fun.
And it was at that point that we realised that that was the highest peak.
Right.
Or at that point, it was certainly the highest peak, and it's never been broken. And now we've mapped the whole world. We realise it is, in fact, the highest peak.
Right.
And the leader of that survey was called Everest. His surname was Everest, so we called it Everest. But of course, the people of the region have got their own words for them. I won't try to butcher them, but the Nepalese, the Tibetans, the Chinese have each got their own word for it.
Yeah, of course.
But the Sherpas refer to it in translation, of course, as like a mother goddess, a mother goddess of the earth. And that's how they view it. And they have sort of endless respect for it. There's lots, all over the Everest region, on both sides, there's lots of prayer wheels.
Well, if you don't respect it, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it?
That's another thing, to state the obvious, is that if you take your eye off the ball for a moment, it's going to kill you.
Yeah.
There are dangerous mountains in the world, and there are treacherous mountains in the world. And I say Everest isn't technically all that difficult, but it's a killer. It's a real killer. There's another peak nearby called Island Peak, which again is a bit like Snowdon or Kilimanjaro. You can walk up it.
Right.
Kilimanjaro, anyone can, within reason.
Yeah. It is very high, though. A friend of mine climbed Kilimanjaro.
It's the highest peak in Africa.
Yeah. And apparently it's very... the climb is just a walk.
Yeah.
But it's the like breathlessness you get of it, and the lightheadedness, and the altitude changes. What they do to your body is the issue. Altitude
sickness is a bitch.
Yeah.
A real bitch. And I actually I once climbed Vesuvius in the Bay of Naples, which isn't high at all.
No.
Well, it's right by the sea.
Yeah.
So it's not high at all.
Yeah.
And I got headache. I got a terrible headache.
Yeah.
I thought my head was going to blow up. It was that bad.
I was quite lucky with climbing like Ben Nevis and Snowdon. I didn't feel any ill effects. I was just tired because it was a long trip. You know, it's a long walk.
Yeah, my body isn't equipped to deal with high altitude particularly, which is really disappointing to me. Because again, as a younger man,
I'd like to die on Everest.
I had a pipe dream of going there one day.
Yeah.
In fact, in my 20s, I did seriously look at flying to Kathmandu and hiking to base camp. Like no intention of actually going up Everest, but just trying to get to base camp and stuff. It's not going to happen for me now, but I did have a pipe dream of it when I was younger. And I would love it. I mean, I do like hill climbing. You know, I love the Brecon Beacons. Walking all over the beacons is great. But yeah, when I climbed Vesuvius, I realised that physiologically I'm not cut out for it, because it was terrible. I got to the top of Vesuvius, but my headache was so bad that maybe if I acclimatised, because acclimatisation is the whole thing, but I'm not a natural, unfortunately. I was quite gutted about that, sort of on a personal level, when I realised that. But, well, there you go. Go. There's a story that Brian Blessed, who obviously is sort of an old, overweight man, he did a little documentary, went to the Everest region, and his genetics are very, very good for high altitude. Like his blood, his ability for his blood to hold oxygen is very, very high. So though he's clearly out of shape, he actually did better than the young people that were in his filming crew and stuff.
Right.
So there is a genetic element to it, a very real genetic element to it. But you can, of course, train for it. Yeah. Of course.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.